A little bit about the way the offensive coordinators want to go in the league this year. They want to go back to having a big blocking tight end. They're tired of having the open ends on both sides where quarterbacks can get killed. So what they're looking at is a lot of two backs. That's why you see the backs go, and a lot of tight end offenses. Then you go with the two wides on first and second down, maybe the third wides on third. That allows you the flexibility in your offense. So we're seeing a swing back to a two-back offense and tight end offense in the league. And I think it's just done really more specifically to protect the quarterbacks than any other reason.
Let's go to Pete Mitchell and take a look at him in action as he played for Dan Henning this last year at Boston College. Mel?
You see the height, only 6'1½", so as a downfield target, he's not as easy to spot as somebody that's a little bigger. But watch the hands, the ability to catch the football. He's tremendous. There won't be a tight end at Boston College that surpasses his totals during their career. Blocking here okay against a smaller linebacker, but in the NFL, that's going to be a question. But he can get downfield and make the diving catch. Also a very good long snapper. You see him here in the open field. Very determined, tough football player, and when you throw in, like I say, Chris, that ability to long snap, as you guys know, that alone can keep you in the NFL a long time.
It really does.
All right, so Mitchell goes to Miami. Remember, they also had signed Eric Green. For more on this selection of Mitchell, let's go to our Floridian move north here for the weekend. Well, a lot of folks in Florida spend the winters down in Florida and come up north in the summer. Hank Goldberg, Pete Mitchell to Shula. Is that a surprise for you?
Yeah, it was somewhat because, you know, there seems to be an embarrassment of riches in this division now among tight ends because they, of course, as you mentioned, have Eric Green and also a guy they like named Ronnie Williams who backed him up last year. But they liked Mike Morton, the linebacker from North Carolina. The Raiders took him ahead of the Dolphins, which is ironic because last year the Dolphins took Tim Bowens ahead of the Raiders, who the Raiders liked. So this was one of these best players on the board type of deals. If you look at what Miami has selected so far this year, they've gone for need in the first two rounds. Billy Milner, Andrew Green, both offensive linemen. Now Mitchell, they will go defense the rest of the way. One quick word on Billy Milner. There was a story about the cervical problem that he does have. However, he only missed one snap in 3 years at Houston. But look at what the Dolphins have done the last 3 years. They took Terry Kirby, who was supposed to be blind in one eye. They took Tim Bowens, who was missing some toes. And this year, a guy with a cervical problem. Chris?
Well, at least they know anatomy down there in Miami, Hank. Thank you. So we expect the Dolphins to go defense, as you heard Hank say, when we continue here at the bottom part of the fourth round in New York. We'll be back. Stay with us.
It's a breakthrough that brings us to a new level of performance. In the rain, in the snow. It even saves gas. Michelin's new energy tires with radial XSE technology. It's science that goes beyond magic.
Sail away. From across the seas, Beck's delivers the grand tradition and taste of the German art of brewing. Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
You're beautiful. You're everything I ever want.
If you love your car, what you put on it should be more than just a wax. New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish protects your finish with beeswax and shines with rare Brazilian carnauba. Safe, naturally derived ingredients, so pure, powerful, perfect.
Oh, so beautiful.
New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish.
The engine, a superbly fine-tuned piece of motion machinery. It possesses 750 horsepower savagery and an uncontrollable spirit fueled by fire, driven by courage. It has a mind of its own and praises those that can dance with it. The engine is four-wheel terror. NASCAR on ESPN. Strap in. The Haynes 500 today at 3.
And we are back feverishly writing here. We're writing a thesis, as we do here every year on the NFL draft. We are in the lower part of the fourth round now. And it seems like 2 years ago, the second pick of the draft just after noon yesterday was Tony Baselli, the outstanding left tackle from USC that became the first draft pick ever made by the Jacksonville Jaguars to put him out of left tackle, have him there into the next century. That's the plan of Tom Coughlin. Let's again tee up everyone, Mel, and talk about Baselli. And you think coming out of school he ranks about as high as any lineman you've seen?
USC has a great history of producing linemen, Chris. I mean, look at Tony Baselli. He had some injuries, which he worked through, but he came through with a huge senior year. See the size, 6'7", about 323, 325 pounds, and watch the movement here at that critical left tackle spot, how he gets outside here and really escorts the running back into the end zone. And that's what Jacksonville is going to be looking for him to do, be a rock at that left tackle spot. You see him here with the explosion. Bench presses 225 pounds about 26 times. Watch him here. Protection for Rob Johnson. Doesn't let the defensive end off the line of scrimmage. Just keeps him to the outside with his feet and his long arms. And, like I say, the movement is what's exceptional for a kid his size. And that's what has allowed Tony Baselli to move all the way up to the second spot. And I think on some clubs' boards, maybe he was the best player in the draft overall, Chris. But when you're talking about the second pick, can't get much higher than that. 15, 16 linemen selected since the start of the common draft at 67 in the first round from USC. And the group in the top 5, well, it's pretty good pedigree. We mentioned the name Anthony Munoz. He was a top 5 pick. He's going to be on his way to Canton, Ohio. We mentioned the name Ron Yeri, first pick of the Vikings. He made about 9 or 10 Pro Bowls. We mentioned the name Marvin Powell, and he made a few Pro Bowls with the Jets. So USC tackles in the top 5. It's been a great pedigree, and they expect Baselli to be the same. Earlier this week, Jim McNally, coached for a long time at USC, and he coached both Anthony Munoz and Tony Baselli. He's now on the staff he was the Cincinnati coach with Munoz, and now he is on the staff of Dom Capers at Carolina. He sat down and talked recently with our Chris Mortensen about the two big fellas.
All right, Coach, you coached Anthony Munoz, one of the all-time greats with the Cincinnati Bengals. What made him so great?
Well, Chris, I think he had a combination of strength, quickness, know-how, and he really used terrific football techniques. We've got a couple of clips here, zeroing in on Anthony's, the left tackle, and you'll notice he's blocking down on this man, and you'll notice his footwork, how he drops that inside foot to get a good angle, has a good base, gets under the blocker, or gets under the defender's pads, and eventually pancakes him right into the ground.
All right, Coach, now we have Tony Baselli, another former USC great who John Robinson compares favorably to Munoz. How does he look on film to you?
Notice, Tony, he's able to stay low, get under the defender. We call that leverage. And driving the defender right back, and again, a pancake. Notice the use of his hands, how he gets his hands on the defender. He has his head back. He knows how to pass block. He does have quickness, of course, so I think they're both very comparable. You'd have to ask me 13 years later how it ended up, though.
Just how great this one's going to be compared to Anthony.
That's right.
All right, Mort, thank you, and thank you, Coach. With more on Tony Baselli, let's take a look from another angle than from analyzing film with our Nick Bakay.
Thanks, Chris. You know, everyone has their own philosophy of what makes a good pick in the draft. Mel Kiper has his, Bill Polian has his way, and I have my own way. My ultimate yardstick for a blue-chip player, how would John Facenda have described this kid? You can have your times in the 40, your vertical jumps. When it comes to gut check time, I want to know how the legendary voice of NFL films would describe this kid in action. Let's take Tony Baselli, the first big body pick this weekend. Let's see how he stands up to the Facenda test.
Anthony Baselli. Can mere words describe this lumbering juggernaut? More than a left tackle, a Neapolitan tower of marbled hams, thundering flanks, and unprocessed childhood anger. Clearly, on the seventh day, the good Lord did not rest, but set about creating the penultimate bookend of living meat. Lo, behold yonder warrior, the tungsten-hard physique forged by desire and that ephemeral voice that says, stop, you shall not touch my quarterback today, evoking the solemn legacy of those who have gone before him, Upshaw, Munoz.
You know, I used to be a pretty fair high school football player myself.
Let's go back to Facenda.
A superhuman champion